the shoulder. Circling, grasping. Pick up the wrist. Lift the arm back gently, checking that range of motion. Check out the shoes with the extension. And then I'm going to bring, so I'm sitting down low. I'm bringing my inside hand in the front and cup it in the front of the shoulder. And then bring her arm right behind your hip, like the arm lock position. Push them forward here a little bit. Right? If they're really rolled back like this position is not going to be super comfortable for them. So just push them forward like that and circle their shoulder in that position. So you're cupping their shoulder joint. And then stick out your thumb or fingers under the scapula and then pull back. Okay, thumb all the way under.
Does that feel good to you? Yeah.
The medial border. And now I'm going to put my hand out. Okay. Holding at the wrist, catch my upper foot onto their lat tissue. Like right below the armpit. I'm just going to play with some rocking rhythm. So I'm going to pull gently and then push. Pull and push. So it's not about pressing on the muscles. It's much more about affecting their skeletal structure and creating what Eric Galvin calls joint play. Joint play, like some gently traction, push and pull. If you watch her head is rocking forward and back, forward and back. So I want to keep that rhythm going. Just like 10, 15 compressions. And then if you wanted to do consistent, steady compression, then you would pull them back more, like where they're almost on their back. Rotate the arm out so the palm is facing up. I'm going to leave their arm hanging. In this position, when they're rolled back like that, the arm is just going to hang by itself. I'm going to lean back and then just press into the armpit tissue. This is the lats. So I'm pushing into the lat tissue. And then just press and hold. Back to the wrist. Bring the arm back onto their hip. Go flat on the hip. Lift yourself up. And elbow roll the very center of their arm. That's the middle deltoid. Which tends to be sensitive. Right. Okay, right in the center, middle deltoid. Again, supination. Burn up. From here, holding at the wrist, holding on the shoulder. And lift, step up, and make circles. And then sweep my hands and bring their wrist across my knee. With my inside hand, I'm going to do something similar. We did this last week for the arm sequence. Taking the back tissue. So very soft at first, very gentle. Use your finger pads. This is a deeper angle because they're side lying. Usually I do this or the other. And then once I grasp the pec bundle, I'll hold it and make circles with their arm, holding at the wrist. Different angles. High, right across. And from here, again, circling, I'm going to continue that and make it a really big circle. Bring the arm all the way up alongside your ear. I'm going to move myself over. I'm going to step my upper foot all the way up over top of their head. And then just traction from their hip without skin burn, and the wrist. Okay, then because she's comfortable in this position with her arm, I'm going to leave the arm right there. I'm just going to drop it there and sit and just scoop up this whole lateral tissue here. This anterior serratus, the lats, lateral border, the scapula. So you can even work into the intercostals. Okay, so then we're gonna do arm stretches and bring the arm back to the front. So remember how the arm doesn't really go backward like that. That's not a natural movement. So be really careful of pulling the arm back this way. If you want to bring it down, go through the front. It's much more natural to go through the front. Always hold at the wrist. You're gonna bring the arm up across. And then a little higher this way. This is where it's going to lock out. Notice the angle here. The angle is high. So this is 90 degrees, straight across. But this is a little higher than 90. This angle follows the direction of the fibers of the pec major. Right? So pectoralis major passes on the sternum and then goes up. It's a slanting upward angle. So it's oblique. It goes up like that. I'm going to sit right there on my butt, right behind the shoulder, and just place my top foot, my upper foot, very gently, without pressure, on the scapula. You'll notice that in this angle, I actually don't really need to hold her arm. Her arm just hangs there by itself, right? Because it's the deepest angle for the pec and the shoulder. So the arm just hangs. We call this nerve stretch. I'm going to support below the wrist and just very gently pull down with the fingers. And she's going to feel it all the way into the chest. It feels intense, like in a nervy way. We call it nerve stretch. Yeah. Nerve stretch. Each finger pressing down on all of them at the same time, not too long. It's intense, so don't linger too long. I'm going to bring the arm down alongside their body, down by the hip, and then scoot down a little lower. So notice it's my upper foot right here, right? I'll leave it there. So I won't fuss around too much. So just scoot down a little bit, and then I point my toes right under her scapula. This is her medial border of the scapula. And I'm going to place my toes, not my ball of the foot, but actual toes, like toe tips, under the scapula. And I'm going to reach over the front of the shoulder, holding the wrist as well, and just pull back. And my toes are going to go under her scapula. Okay, so my toes are fully under the scap. Okay, so I'm going to pull and release a few times. Once I'm deep in there, then I can wiggle my toes and circle them, pulling the scap tissue out. There's nothing like toes under the scapula.
That feels so good.
Yeah, toes are very strong, you know, stronger than your thumbs. So this work you can do even on bigger people. The only thing is, you know, a lot of people's scapulars are really stuck and you can't get your toes under. In that case, you'll just simply place your toes right here, right where the rhomboids are, right between the spine and the scapula, so right in the soft tissue. And the same way, you just pull back and press your toes there. And you can reposition, right? You can move your foot a little lower and a little higher. For her, because her scapula does pop up, especially in this position, I can get my toes all the way under. Okay, and so then I'm going to transition just a little lower and foot walk on the back. So one foot is going to stay on the sacrum and the upper foot is going to stay on the rib cage. And I can reposition my feet a little bit, but I'm generally going to stay in those areas. So around the sacrum, a lower back, and then around the rib cage or mid back. And it's important to find the rhythm just like in the paddle boat technique. I'm rocking side to side. If you look at her head, you'll notice her head is also rocking forward, rocking back. Every time I push this foot, the upper foot, I let go of her arm. When I push this foot, I pull on the arm, right? So push, let go, and pull. And again, we're not looking for pressure. It's not about pressure here. It's about joint play, creating nice, free articulation in the joints. Okay, so now I'm going to scoot over just a little bit and reach for that straight leg, not the bent leg, but the straight leg ankle. Hold on to the ankle and come back with the feet just where they were, and then come back to the same rhythm. So now I'm going to push the bottom foot, pull in the wrist, push the top foot, pull in the ankle, and rock side to side. Let's see if we can bring and hand them their own foot, their ankle like this. She's flexible enough to do that. So she's holding on to her own ankle. I'm gonna support that. I'm just gonna clasp my hands over and then straighten my legs, stabilize their sacrum. You wanna keep your bottom foot on their sacrum for stability so they don't overarch. You don't want them to overarch their lower back. And just like 2-3 breaths there, like bow pose in yoga. And then release. And we're gonna bring the leg back down. Bring the arm back to the front. And we're gonna roll them back. How to roll them back? The best thing is hold under their heel and over their knee. If they're really heavy and you are very light, it's important to use your body weight correctly here. So you wanna have a momentum here. So I go forward and then rock back. And you'll notice that I'm gonna lift one leg off the ground. The weight of my leg is gonna have me like rock back easier, right? So I'm using my own counterbalance, right? So notice what I do, right? My leg goes back up and I roll them back. I don't let them go, so I'm still right here in control, right? So this is the move. You wanna practice a few times. Give the leg a circle, don't drop down, scoot back, holding our leg, give it a traction and shape. And I'm just gonna twist Sophia the other way so she doesn't feel lopsided.